All right, so what you see here is a completed document with the table of figures into it, and the document below has some figures and a table and I've popped in an extra picture for us to reference as well. So to begin with, what I'm going to do is take them all out because I want to show you guys how easy it is to remove it. So you need the straight line. If you have the dotted line going around the box, it's more of an edit feature where you're changing something inside the box. But if you're looking at deleting the whole thing, click on the outside and delete it. And I'm going to delete this one too, and this one, and I think that's all of them. And we can tell if it's all of them if we update it and we say update page numbers only, and it comes back as an error. So now we know there's none there. So I'm going to delete it all. Okay, so we're working through a document, and this is what we'll start with here. If we're working through a document, actually, there, this is the blank document. We have nothing else, and we're talking about inserting a figure of tables. Now, last week we talked about the table of contents and updating it and how to insert it so the automatic page numbers and everything was constantly updating. This works the exact same way. Word is reuses a lot of its really good tools in a lot of different ways, and this is one of them. Just like headers and footers, this is another thing that is going. If you're familiar and comfortable with table of contents, then you're going to be okay with table of figures as well. So assuming we have a document and we have some figures here and we're thinking, okay, we're getting a lot of images, we're referring to the images. So when you say, look at this figure, then you're going to want the images to be identified somehow. So if you could type in something like picture of Roxanne's 4 dogs is laid in figure. And I think that's going to be figure 4. So what we're doing here is displaying it. Now, this is my 4 dogs for real. And the black girl, we lost last week. She was 12 and we miss her, but she was suffering. So we're happy that she's no longer in pain. So anyway, here we are now in our table of figures, and we're going to start by identifying each figure. So if you're on your ribbon and you're going to look in your reference tab, you're going to see insert caption. And when you insert a caption on an image, you need to select the image and you're going to say insert caption. Word is going to, because this is the first image in your document that you're putting a caption on, Word is going to automatically number it for you as figure 1, and all your information is there. If you want to add additional things like the name of it, you can go ahead and add it here too. But for this quick display, we're just going to go ahead and say okay. And now figure 1 is going to show up right below it. It shows up in its own little text box, which you can edit again. So then, excuse me, we're going to move on to figure 2, and we're going to repeat the process, and it's going to automatically number it as figure 2. And then we're going to look at figure 3 and we're going to insert, and it's going to say, okay, that's figure 3. So now let's say we don't have this page at the end here yet, and we're not ready for it. So we're going to go back to the beginning and say, okay, so what do we need to do here now? Now we're going to insert the table of figures. So if we want it to be just above this document or on its own page, now that's really up to us what we want to put in. So I'm going to put it in as a blank page. So I'm going to go Control Enter with my cursor right at the beginning of my document. Hold Control and press Enter, and I'm going to get a blank page inserted above. So I'm going to enter a couple times on that page before the page break because I want to start at the 2-inch top, and I'm going to put in table of figures, and this is going to be my title, and I'm going to just increase the font size a little bit and make it look like it's a good size. And then I'm going to put my cursor directly below that because this is where I want to insert my list. So when I go into my reference tab, I'm going to see where it says in the captions, insert table of figures. So if I insert the table of figures here, it's going to give me some options to look at. I want the dot leaders on. This is the format I want. I want it to capture labels called figure. And I'm going to say, okay. And when I do that, Word looks through the document, it finds the figures that you have identified as figures in the document, and it lists them for you. So, and their page numbers. So now you can go through and you can have a look and you can see, yes, figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. So now if you say, okay, well, I'm going to continue working on this document, and can you guys still hear me? Okay. Whew. All right. So, so now we're going to continue working in this report or document, whatever we're working with here. And we say, okay, well, we've inserted another figure. So let's go ahead and label this one. So we're going to insert the caption, and it's going to be figure 4. Word already knows it's figure 4. So now we're going to identify it, and it's figure 4, and there it is. So now when we go back up to our table of figures, it didn't automatically go in. We need to right click on it and say update field. And we want to update the entire table this time because we added a new figure. And when we say okay, our figure will be added to the list. So it makes labeling and finding things so easy. It's so good. So this is where you would use this would be inserting figures or diagrams or charts or anything in a document. You want it updated, you need it. It's all so user friendly. So this is covered in lesson 73 for you. So I want you guys to work through this and play with the updating features. Remember to right click and update the field to get the new updates. And if, say, you were working through here and you decided, I think I'd like this on the next page. So you put in a page break and you spread it out. So now figures 2 and 3 are on the next page. You're going to have to update again. So if you make any changes, or the last thing you do before you save your final copy would be to update and make sure everything is updated. Now, I know we didn't add any more figures or change anything. So this time I could just update the page numbers, or you could choose entire table every time. And then if there was any changes, it's going to make sure everything's included. So when I updated it this time, I'll notice that figure 2 and figure 3 now have moved to page 3, and figure 4 is now on page 4 because we inserted another page before it. So that is how to use your figures, your table of figures, updating it and inserting more. Now, in lesson 74, it refers to a few of the productivity tools and different things you can use. So let's have a look at this. We're going to go to our home tab to start. And we're going to say, now I know somewhere in this document, imagine this is a 200-page document, not a 4-page document. And you're here and you're thinking, I know somewhere in this document there should be a picture of Roxanne's dogs. And you're thinking, how am I going to find that? What page is that on out of these 200 pages? So you're going to hit your find. And when you hit the find button, it gives you the option of what you can type in to find. So this time we're just going to type in Roxanne. And Word will look and find where Roxanne is placed in the document. And it will automatically bring you right to that page. If you said, what pages? I'm only looking for figures, whatever pages the figures are on. So if we changed it instead of Roxanne to figure, you're going to see that there's 17 times in this document figure is mentioned. But it still narrows down drastically what you're looking for. And you can just use these down arrows to quickly flick through each time the word figure is mentioned until you find the one you're looking for. If you knew specifically that you were looking for figure 3, you could just put in figure, oops, not 0, figure 3, and now it's only going to show you 3 times it's mentioned, okay? So it's mentioned in the table of figures, and when we hit next, it's mentioned in the report where it's referencing it, and it's also mentioned where the label is on that image. So finding and using the find button is going to help save you a lot of time when you're looking for something specific. So become familiar with that. And what else is it used for? Let's see. And what if we said, okay, well, Roxanne had somewhere in that document, we had put in Roxanne's dogs. I think we should change that to puppies. So if I said replace, it's going to do the exact same thing. So if I went looking for dogs and I said, I want to change that to puppies, and we said find next, Word is going to tell us we couldn't find any, right? Replace, and we said dogs, and we said find. There you go. So Word is going to find where the dogs are. And if it was in there 10 times or 100 times or just once, you can very quickly. Well, you guys are not seeing my search button box pop up. Oh, wait a second. So you did see all the find. Replace doesn't work. Okay, just a second. Hold on, I got to change your view. You're not getting all the pop-ups. Here we go. I'll do that over. So instead now, if we're at the top of the document and we're going to say, let's replace. When you hit replace, the find and replace box will pop up and you can type in what you want to look for. So we said we're looking for the word dogs and we're going to replace it with the word puppies. And you're going to say find next. And then Word is going to take you to every place in this document where the word dogs are. And if you want to replace that one, you would just hit the replace. And it would replace it for you. And when it's through at the end of the document, it will tell you we're finished. If you were doing something much larger, and you wanted to replace a a person's name. Say if you did this huge document, and in this document you referred to somebody, your colleague Michael, who was helping you through with this and with that, and we'll gather Michael's research, and then Michael's going to do something else, and then somewhere at the end of the document your boss came in and said, okay, well, we had planned for Michael to do all this, but Michael is off sick, so Sarah's going to take over, and Sarah's going to do it all. So you don't have to read through this entire document looking for every time you typed in Michael's name to replace it. You would just simply hit the replace button, and you would type in Michael is what you're searching for. You want to replace it with Sarah. And if you're 100% certain that that's the only time Michael's name is used is in a time when you want to replace it, then you would just say replace all, and Word is going to come up and tell you it's been replaced 22 times or how many times. So find and replace is a great tool, and you can use it for so many things. So let me just play with that for you for a second. So right here, captions is listed. Let's see how many times caption is listed here and caption is listed here. So let's go to the top of the document. You want to make sure your cursor is at the top, and let's replace captions with tags. And if we said find next, you're going to see captions, find next, captions, find next, and Word is going to take you. So I didn't replace them right now. I went looking to see how many there was, and we discovered that there was 3. So now say okay, and I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back to the document. And now if I went replace, and I'm confident I want to replace all of them, and I just hit replace all, going to come up and say, all done. We've made 3 replacements. So that's a demonstration of how easy it is to make a replacement throughout an entire document. Okay, so now I'm going to undo those changes so that we are back with what we had before. So another tool that they talk about in lesson 74 for you is a split screen. So split screen is under your view, and it's right here under your split. So if you hit split, what that does, I can close this one. What that does is it allows you to look at the same document twice. So if you wanted to leave the table of figures up top and you want it to say, I need to double check those figures, I'm not sure they're right. The bottom one is the exact same document, and you can start scrolling through and looking for the figures. So now you're going to say, okay, so this is figure 1 and it's on page 2. Okay, so figure 1 is right. And here's your page number. It says down here in this corner. And then you're going to continue scrolling through. If you still don't feel like something's right. So here's figure 2, and that is on page 2. So, okay, so that one's right. So what split screen is just allowing you to look at 2 areas of the same document at the same time, because it's very difficult to memorize this while you're checking it all the way through. So split screen is useful for when you're looking something up in your document and you're double checking it. You can also choose to arrange your document in different ways. So let's remove the split. So you also have an arrange all, and I'm not going to demonstrate this one because I have about 20 student assignments opened on my screen, and I don't want them all spread across my screen for everyone to see. But you can try this. You can open 3 or 4 Word documents, and then you can just go arrange all. And what Word's going to do is make them all fit whichever way it feels possible to make them fit best on your screen. So that's also useful if you're working through things, a bunch of documents that's all only got little changes in each one, so you can check through. If you are in, if you have a really big monitor, and I know a lot of people do have big monitors now, and you want to display your document so that it's across your screen and more like a book, then this is what the side to side would be. So if you click the side to side, now you're displayed like it's a book. And when you hit go to your ruler bar, it's like you're turning pages. So if your document or your display area is large enough that you can work this way, some people may prefer this setup. And it really doesn't matter. It's completely up to you. So I'm going to go back to vertical for this one. And then we're also going to switch windows. I'm not going to click it, but if you have several documents open and you're jumping back and forth between documents, this is the easiest way. You hit this and it'll be a drop down arrow and it'll tell you the name of every file that's open, and then you can just click on that one as well. So I think that really covers everything that's in those two modules for you, two lessons, sorry, not modules, in the two lessons. So what I want you to do is work through those lessons and practice it. And then if you do have any questions, you guys, like always, can let me know. But I also want you to focus on the content area for reports. That's very, very important. There's new updated information. And in your assignment too, when you do a report, you're going to be following the format that's in the content area. Okay, so I'm going to end the recording.